Danny, thank you. First off, huge thank you to Nacho, Danny, team, Megan, for putting this on. For me, a personal thank you for putting me before lunch, because I have so much power now. So not only is your question ridiculous, but sorry guys, you're gonna have to wait for me to finish before we can start eating. So here, let me go back first. Okay, cool. So before I start, I just wanna ask a quick question. So who here is a remote worker or freelancer? Right. Okay, who's a corporate sellout? We have one. Okay, so that's why I'm here. Not only a corporate sellout, but I'm here to talk about a huge problem we as an industry have. The supply side is fine. The freelancers, the remote workers, they're here, they'll be here for the next 5 to 10 years. The demand side is not. So getting Microsoft to actually pay you is the problem that I wake up every single morning and try to figure out. One of the things that I really want to highlight from Lorella, you brought up earlier today, is this perception that remote and freelance, it's all urban and millennial. We're gonna shatter that right away, but before I do that, I'm gonna have to make fun of all of us, because you, corporate sellout, you know the amount of pain that we have when we tell our boss and our coworkers that we wanna be a remote worker, and they say, but you're just gonna go chill on the beach. And then of course I have to go get an approval last week saying, hey guys, I have to go to the beach to go to this event. So just have some empathy for me here. So before I tell you sort of what we're doing at Microsoft in my speech, I really want to get into the why and why I am exactly here. But before I do, let me give you a corporate hint, because I'm going to show you some photos and I'm not going to give you context. In most executive leadership decks when you're at conferences, they always exploit their family or children. So keep that in mind in these next photos. So this is the first one. I didn't actually cook. This is the second one. We were going for a Christian rock hard album cover. Now, who here thinks that was my family? Right? One of them? Those were freelancers. And so, you should have seen Matt's face when I said, hey, we're gonna have this offsite in Cincinnati and I'm hiring a mock wedding photo shoot. But they are the reason I'm here. We all know about this model. We all know about the unparalleled economic opportunity that this unlocks. That was Sam. She's a PM out of Cincinnati, and that was Matt. He's actually a full-time CTO and also out of Dayton, Ohio. And so that's just really wanted to frame that why for me of why I'm here, because obviously we all love this freelance model and remote model, but we have to come clean. This isn't real. Let me explain. Let me give you my journey. I'll never forget the day. I was on the 32nd floor of a high-rise in Boston. I thought I had made it. Before this, I was coming out of college. Before this, I was freelancing, and everyone told me, hey, you're gonna grow up, you're gonna get a real job. I was so ecstatic. Like, I wanted to be that corporate sellout, and I wanted to live in my small town, but a couple weeks in, I had a gulp moment, because I realized I went from this, my favorite copy in the world, to this crap. And the only way I can kind of describe it is this meme. I felt cheated. Like, I was so pumped up to finally have this real job, this dream opportunity, yet it totally sucked, right? One office, one boss. It was horrible. And so I couldn't quite give up, to be honest. I should have just sold out. I was from Boston, and it's very traditional that you do that, you go to the Big Four. But I kept chasing, and that led me to a company called Gigster, which is one of the fastest growing freelance platforms in the Bay. And what I learned in Gigster was that we could do incredible work, and we had this remote freelance talent, but if we ever told our customers, or potential customers, or even my parents, that we had freelancers, we just kept hearing crickets. And so we stopped saying the word altogether. And what hit me was, we would kind of bring up that analogy, and people love to use this of, hey, oh, I understand what you're doing. You're kind of like Uber, right? You're sharing economy, you're on-demand economy. And so we kept having to crack this, no. And the reason was because Uber's B2C, we're B2B, which is why, although we all want to go chill on the beach, you need us corporate sellouts, because you need the enterprise to unlock the spend. So, cue what I call sort of my Christmas morning. There's some things in life you can plan, and there's some things in your life you just have shit luck. I had shit luck, because at the time of learning this, the Microsoft team came and contacted me. Now, I will be totally honest. If it was 3 years ago, there's no way in hell I would have gone to Microsoft. No way. But when I learned about the things that they were doing and the opportunity we have for us, I had to go. And so, hear me out. That's sort of why I had to sell out, give the AirPods, replace them with New Balances and khakis, and that's going to frame sort of when we go into what we're doing at Microsoft. So, before I tell you that, let me kind of tell you why Microsoft cares and our customers. This hamster represents the cloud, and the cloud is what kind of ruined everything, quite frankly. The cloud made it so that startups and SMBs could do laps around the enterprise, whether it was innovation, whether it was product cycles, whether it was just feature updates. It made it so that startups could do it in months, what enterprises would take years. And so when Microsoft is thinking about why the hell they should even care about freelance and remote, because as Laurel brought up, this has been happening forever, but most of it's been quiet. So why should they actually go and invest in this? The reason was they needed the speed of a startup with the scale of an enterprise. And so when we look at freelance and remote, sort of why, and talking about sort of the corporate buzzwords, why does this actually matter? Because it gives you quality, speed, and cost. Now, we all know the old adage, right? You can have two, you can't have all three, you probably can't even have two. Well, in freelance, you can have all three. So that's sort of the big why. When we look at what we've done at Microsoft today, the big thing that I think is one of the biggest buzzwords to look at is actually the time savings. We say 73%. I purposefully put that up there so we'd strain your eyes and you have to actually think about what I say next. This time savings, what that really means is that in traditional staffing or traditional solutions, generally if I have a problem, it's gonna take around 25 days to actually get someone in the building to help with that. Freelance, we average around 5 days, but this is why I wanted to make sure you didn't understand what this number meant, but if you already have your bench or your freelancers, that can turn into around 30 minutes. So this is the big what. This is what we're doing here at Microsoft. Around 5,000 projects, over 320 employees engaging in this. But here's the problem. We think as an industry that it's like this. No, sound should have gone off. Well, it said that was easy. In reality, this is what we get, or this is what we're giving customers like Microsoft. Look at this crap. This isn't AI, machine learning, VR. This is gross enterprise, security, privacy, compliance, and what's needed is seamless integration. So that's kind of a snippet of my life. That was just a little bit. And I really, before, let me just make sure, perfect. Okay, so that was we could talk all week, to be honest, about that one Visio. It takes some companies years. But I'm gonna tell you about the two main drivers. The first one is culture and the second one is scale. When we talk about culture, let me tell you two stories. The first one is when I was interviewing for Microsoft, when HR was talking to me, I'll never forget, the recruiter asks, so you say you have 5 years of management experience. You've only been working for 10 months. Can you remote workers relate? And so I said, well, in college, I was managing remote teams of 5 to 15 people all around the globe, and so I've been doing that for, I don't know, around 6 years. And so she's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. So that was the first one. The second one was when I actually started Microsoft, I was traveling a bunch. And so I expected that the team and everyone would just understand we're gonna run through sprint boards and it's all gonna happen digitally and it's gonna be transparent. Yet I was stuck doing this. I was literally mocking a sprint board in front of my boss's office and physically putting little sticky notes of work in process and in review and done to get them to understand how we work. So that's the first one. The first one is just the culture. The second thing is scale. It's cute when you have, say, 5 to 50 people in a team and you can run through Trello and Slack and G Suite and Jira. What's not cute is when you have 50 to 150 employees, freelancers, vendors. That is a nightmare. And so let me just ask one quick question. I flashed you a hint on purpose. Who here holds like a weekly or bi-weekly sprint meeting? Right, you all do? Okay, cool. Hopefully you don't have your freelancers because now you might be in jeopardy of misclassification. What that means is that, and we got sued big time for this in early 2000s, If a freelancer is forced to go to a weekly meeting, then they should be classified as a W-2 worker. And so now, if you did that at Microsoft, oh no, hopefully you didn't just put us in jeopardy. Now, where it's really, really, really scary is that the way that companies want to engage with freelance and remote talent is we want every single employee to be able to augment themselves through freelancers. Now, think of over 100,000 employees all working with freelancers. How the hell are we going to protect ourselves from one employee saying, hey, freelancer, you should come to our sprint meeting once a week? How do we possibly do that? The second one, which could be even worse, is what if one of those over 100,000 employees gives the freelancer a file that has a customer email? Like, does anyone know the numbers? 4% of revenues is what we're at risk for. And so that one, I mean, that's like that's no crap. I don't even know what I would do. I'd probably take a flight here, to be honest, Nacho, sleep on your couch and just go off the grid. But so the third one, which this one kind of cracks me up, is what if a freelancer leaks something confidential? Right, which this one totally cracks me up, because why isn't an employee going to do this, or why isn't a vendor going to do this? And as a freelancer, you have digital ratings and reviews, and so you're going to get blasted and blackmailed, so you obviously wouldn't do this. But that one gets commonly pointed to. So when I was first drafting this, I was really thinking this was going to be sort of my jump-off time, and I actually was going to book a surf lesson for about 10 minutes and just give you all this crap and be like, hey guys, the world stinks, like, here it is, go fix this. But I figured, because you guys have been such a good host, should I give you a solution, potentially? It'd be nice? Okay, cool. So what we did at Microsoft was we listened to our customers intently, and we really, really, really sort of wanted to understand, what for you does this Visio document look like? What is all the slog that you're going through? And we sort of compartmentalized that into 4 main problem statements. These problem statements were how employees get started compliantly, meaning how an employee gets started and not give out PII, or not force the freelancer to go to a sprint meeting. The second one was how will employees and freelancers communicate and share files. So a huge thing that I always hear is we don't want to give wholesale access, as well as what if the freelancer works on a project and isn't taken out of the system? Like, imagine it's 2 years later and a freelancer just wants to say, hey, I don't like Microsoft, I heard about you guys in the news, let me go into your systems. It'd be horrible. The third one is how will we measure program success? And so when we're thinking about sort of when you have a VMS system or some other sort of traditional staffing, how are we going to prove that this is a better, faster, and more cost-efficient model? And then the third one is workflow automation. So just how do we automate those manual or repetitive tasks? So what I do, and sort of what my team built, is this thing called the Freelance Toolkit, where we took these problem statements and we said, per each, how can we use M365 tools to solve for each swim lane using a template and a best practice? And so this right here is the solution. I won't bore you. I promised Nacho like only 2 minutes of a sales pitch, so that's it. But I also understand that you won corporate sellout. You're going to have to go to your boss and prove that you weren't just surfing. So here's sort of a homework takeaway that you can have. What we sort of tell our customers, and even if we're working with sort of partners in this space, is step one is let's have a reality check. I really wish we could talk about AI, machine learning, blockchain, VR, and whatever sexy thing is next. In reality, it's privacy, it's security, it's seamless integration. Step two is build or partner with these solutions at scale. And step three is just let us know how we can help. Huge, huge thank you. If you want to contact me, my email's here. Send a GIF or something, and then we'll get into FAQs.
You answered my question, by the way, and very well. You answered my question and very well. Can we get the questions up on the board? We've got about 15 minutes left here, and that's awesome because the Freelancers room was jammed yesterday. So get your questions in, upvote, so on and so forth. You can have speed. There's a quote from you. You can have speed, quality, and cost with freelance. Where'd we go? How about having knowledge in-house and fluctuation risks?
Got it. Okay. So let me just sort of clarify the way that I see the question. So the way that I see the question is, what about the actual full-time employees and their knowledge when I look at this in-house knowledge? The way that I would answer this is that freelance actually augments the skill and the scale of our full-time employees. Skill meaning, think of me personally when I started at Microsoft, I basically was said, hey, you have this crazy idea, go build it. I didn't have the resources. I didn't know how to handle a press release or even build some of the software that I did. And so that's where freelancers came to augment me personally. And then when you think about scale, I couldn't produce one product myself in under 6 months. But if we can enable freelancers to augment the skills that our full-time employees already have, that to us is how we sort of exponentially increase our knowledge in-house. So that's how sort of we think about the in-house knowledge. Was there another one there? Okay, so what do you think you mean by fluctuation risks? That's a boat of, what are you guys thinking? Because there's numerous ways. Like, could that be a churn question or? Okay, so churn's a great question. I would go back to the fact that if your employees are augmented through skill and scale with a freelance workforce, the employee satisfaction and their ability to actually drive impact will exponentially increase. And so that also should, increase the churn rate. All right.
Go for it. Favorite color.
Any remote work. Okay, any remote work or work from home at Microsoft, I'm doing it right now. In terms of our corporate policy, this is where I have to throw the, I'm not Microsoft HR, so I can't give you the official statement there. What is my favorite color? Blue. Good question. How do we handle pricing for freelance tools based on country? Whoa. Okay. Pricing's a good question. That comes down to the fact that we're enabling all of our employees to individually work with freelancers. If you're a freelancer, this is a ginormous opportunity for you because generally employees or just in general hiring managers, they don't know what to price for. Think about most employees, the reason they're hiring is because they don't know how to do that job. And so as a freelancer, you have a huge opportunity to control that engagement from even the point of, hey, this is what you need. And so I would highly recommend when talking to freelancers, you're the expert. The employee is going to you because you're the expert. Control everything from what the outcome should be to what the price should be. How do you make sure freelancers feel part of the company, share your company's values? Great question. So as part of the toolkit, we do run through Microsoft Teams, which Microsoft Teams, think about it as Trello mated with G Suite. Like it kind of is everything in regards to communication, collaboration, task management, and then also you can kind of throw other systems into there. And so it really comes down to the transparency of making sure, and I don't want to speak for the experts here because they've kind of given all the real knowledge about this question, but Microsoft Teams for us enables all of the best practices you all kind of already covered. Silly question. How do you define freelancer? Does anyone know the origin of freelancer? No? Yeah, it was a mercenary. So it was a night mercenary. So I don't think we're doing that anymore. I think of it as remote project-based work, independent of a company. Okay, when will freelancers choose? Oh, that's mean. Good question. Great question. We do have Microsoft Teams free available. So now we are enabling freelancers to be able to use the M365 suite without having to pay for a license and that noise. Please contact me and yell that question as loud as you possibly can so that I can take that back to the team. I knew this Japan question would get brought up. I'm going to skip it just for the second one, and then I'll go back to it. How does a large-scale freelance corporate policy navigate competitive pricing? Contact me and I'll put you with procurement, whoever that question was. Okay, the Japan question, awesome. I hope we go to it full scale. That's my answer. Any other questions? Perfect.